When you think about businesses that are selling through the roof, like Aloe or Allbirds, sure, you think about a great product, a cool brand, and great marketing. But an often overlooked secret is actually the businesses behind the business, making selling, and for shoppers, buying, simple. For millions of businesses, that business is Shopify. Nobody does online business better than Shopify. It's home of Shop Pay, the #1 checkout in the world. You can use it to boost conversions up to 50%, meaning way less carts going abandoned and way more sales going through to checkout. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/income, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/income to upgrade your selling today. That's shopify.com/income.
AI isn't coming. It's already transforming marketing and business. See how at MACON 2025, October 14th through 16th in Cleveland. Evergreen Podcasts is proud to be the official podcast partner, recording live on site and meeting with more than 1,500 marketing leaders. You'll learn from leaders at Google Cloud, Meta, Snowflake, and HeyGen, sharing what's working and what isn't. Transformation starts here. And with our special code, PODS200, you'll save $200 off your ticket. Join us at the Huntington Convention Center. Register today at macon.ai. That's MAICON.ai.
This week, our Patreon voted for us to explore the music and career of Dead or Alive, the British pop band responsible for the endlessly catchy and danceable 1985 single, You Spin Me Round Like a Record. Led by the eccentric and androgynous Pete Burns, Dead or Alive were a perfect mix of the end of disco and the start of new wave. The rise up the indie charts in the UK led them to a major label, but even then, it was the band's belief in themselves and their music that resulted in the massive hit that has stood the test of time. Should you be spinning the rest of Dead or Alive's records right round, though? That's what we'll be deciding this week.
One hit is all you need to make the money guaranteed, and you can live off royalties forever. And it makes me wonder, is it just a wonder, or is it one hit thunder?
All right, Matt, here we are to talk about Dead or Alive's You Spin Me Round Like a Record. And
in parentheses,
this song, I kind of feel like everybody knows this song. But as far as the band goes, I kind of think of Dead or Alive as purely Pete Burns. And if you don't know who Pete Burns is, chances are if you saw a picture of him, you'd go, oh, yeah, that's Pete Burns, right?
Yeah. He drew comparisons to Boy George.
Yes.
And yeah. Big, like same very androgynous energy, very flamboyant outfits. Like Pete Burns was a front man with a capital F for sure.
Yeah, and Pete Burns famously kind of became in the past 15 or 20 years like a reality show star on a celebrity Big Brother show. Is that just in the UK though, that show?
I think Big Brother started in the UK. I know that there's an American Big Brother for sure, but I think it's most popular in the UK because I think that I don't know if the American show does this. Shockingly, I've never watched a second of Big Brother, but I think on the UK there is like a live stream where you can watch without audio the house 24/7. Like that there's like a mounted webcam where like people who are diehards can like be watching. I also think the UK for shows like that, and again, I am speaking completely out of lack of knowledge here, but I'm pretty confident like in America, there's a season of Survivor that's airing right now that has fully been shot. The person who has won Survivor has already won Survivor and received their money at the time that the premiere is coming out. I think the UK for like a show like Big Brother does like very quick turnaround time where it's like they're recording for an entire week and by the next week the like hour edited down version is out so that people can be involved in real time with like following what's happening.
Okay. Well, we should also mention that Pete Burns, who is very much the face of this band, and pretty much the band, I think there's been a rotating cast of bandmates over the years, but Pete died in 2016.
It seemed primarily like by the end of it, it was him and I'm forgetting the guy's first name. His last name was Coy. That was essentially the band for like about a decade. It was just one guy doing the music, one guy doing the lyrics. And then, you know, when Pete goes, that's kind of the end of the band.
And this song also, I mean, it hit a resurgence big time, I think, because of The Wedding Singer.
That's when I first really knew this song.
And I feel like there's a character in The Wedding Singer who looks so much like Pete Burns. I don't think it is Pete Burns. You know what I'm talking about?
Do you mean in his band?
Yeah, I think so. I haven't seen it in a while, but
do you know who that is?
No, who is it?
That's Alexis Arquette. That was one of the first Alexis Arquette roles after the transition.
I don't know anything about Alexis Arquette.
Oh, okay. So David Arquette, who you do know, I would imagine, and like Patricia Arquette,
of course,
they have a sister who is trans.
Oh,
and this was one of the first movie roles, so that's why they hired them to play this like androgynous character in this 80s movie where, you know, the whole joke is when Adam Sandler walks off stage, he hands it off to the other bandmate who can sing, and they only sing Boy George songs, and their name happens to be George.
Yeah.
He's like, all right, George, take it away.
I haven't seen that movie in so long, but for some reason, when I watch these music videos of Dead or Alive and I see Pete Burns, it just makes me think of that character from The Wedding Singer. I'm not far off, right?
No, you're not far off at all, because it's definitely... You know, especially because the movie starts with this song. This is the opening song of the movie.
Okay.
Is Adam Sandler singing this song. And then the very next song is him handing the mic to George to sing Do You Really Want to Hurt Me by Boy George. So there's definitely like a blending of all that information. This song, I have to say, we talked last week about Vanessa Carlton, and we talked about, you know, songs that have like hook after hook after hook. This song, holy crap, are there so many parts in this song that I will just get stuck in my head in their own like individual chunks. Like, to me, the part of this song where I am like fully sold on how great this song is that pre-chorus of the like, all I know is that to me, you look like you're lots of fun. Open up your loving arms. Watch out, here I come. Like, that's so fucking catchy. Like, and then it's followed by an equally catchy chorus with the "You spin me right round, baby, right." Like, every part of this song is catchier than the part that came before it, basically. It's fantastic.
It has really stood the test of time, and we're going to get into some of the reasons why a little later, but I do want to start with the formation of this band. They're an English pop band. They released 7 studio albums from 1984 to 2000. They formed in Liverpool in 1979, and by 1980, they became Dead or Alive. And then they went through all kind of lineup changes over the next 3 years while they released a series of independent singles. Those singles started to chart on the UK indie chart beginning in 1982 with the song The Stranger, which went to number 7 on the UK indie chart. This song, Matt, I don't know if you listened to it. It's not very good. It's got
no, it's not.
And I do think this was sort of a signature, and I don't think you hear it as much in You Spin Me Round. To a certain extent, I think it's a little more quelled or whatever, but very dramatic vibrato vocals over a sort of like dancey Cure-ish type music, but it's just not very good. There's a lot of times when we talk about these early 80s songs that were popular in the UK, I'm always like, how How? It must just be people on drugs and clubs.
That's sometimes the only answer to it. I do think it's worth noting that before Dead or Alive, the origins go actually back to 77 when Burns formed a punk band called the Mystery Girls that literally played a single show before breaking up. But then off of that, he formed, like you said, quite a few different bands. But at the time, right when he switched over to it becoming Dead or Alive, that they were going for more of a gothic post-punk sound before they found this more like synthy pop vibe. And I feel like I attribute that very vibrato thing with that like gothic, like when I think of like gothic post-punk bands, like even something like The Cure's, there's a lot more vibrato than there is like the punky like snarl. It's like, no, we're fucking musicians now. Like we're gonna sing.
Yeah, they're trying to sing like they're in the opera or something and be theatrical about it instead of just, piss and vinegar or whatever, however you want to say it. By 1983, because of some success in the charts, they signed to Epic. And the first release on Epic was the single Misty Circles, which hit number 100 on the UK singles chart in 1983. The song's like more danceable, but it still has that really over-the-top vocal delivery. And Matt, I would once again say this song is still not very good. And I know that's a pretty generic thing to say, but it's like I don't really want to hear these songs ever again.
No, I feel like we're laying the groundwork for where we might be heading by the end of this episode. Not to say that Dead or Alive didn't have any other big songs or any other good songs, but they are definitely not quite getting there with what they're doing. I do think it's interesting that their first top 40 UK single was a cover of Casey and the Sunshine Band's That's the Way I Like It, which must have been a song that they really liked, because before they became Dead or Alive, when they were recording under the name Nightmares in Wax, they released one 7-inch EP that featured a song called Black Leather that midway through the song turned into a cover of Casey and the Sunshine Band's That's the Way I Like It.
I mean, here's what I'll say about it. This is from their debut album, Sophisticated Boom Boom, which was released in May 1984.
That's a great album title. First off, note one.
I got to say that I watched the music video for this that has over 9 million views. So that's kind of a lot of views for like a random cover from Dead or Alive in the 80s. And I had seen this music video before because sometimes when I'm at Marquitte's house, we put on I think Pluto has all the different MTV channels, like MTV 80s.
Yeah, it's like MTV 80s, MTV 90s. Yeah.
We had on the MTV 80s channel, and this came on. The music video is hilarious. If you haven't seen it, look up Dead or Alive, That's the Way I Like It. It is Pete Burns in a women's locker room, and there's all these ripped women flexing in the gym and in the shower with the very androgynous Pete Burns singing and dancing while they flex around him. I don't know who came up with this idea, but it's a pretty amazing music video, to be honest.
You gonna steal that for the next Punchline single? Is just gonna be you for the Another One video? Is gonna be you walking around a women's locker room as women flex around you?
If I could find enough ripped women, yes, that would be great. Of course, it was around this time that Pete started getting all the comparisons to Boy George, because why wouldn't he? And then the band released its second album, Youthquake, in May of 1985. And this is the album with You Spin Me Round on it, which went to number 11 on August 17th of 1985. Now number 11 is nothing to sneeze at, but I would have thought that this was possibly a number one song because of the staying power of it.
When I was researching this, the way it was written was You Spin Me Round Like a Record became the band's only song to reach number one. And I stopped at that for a second and thought, that makes sense. And then I saw that it said on the UK chart. Mm-hmm. And then I thought, well, where the hell did it land on the US chart then? And then read further and saw 11. And I, like you, was kind of shocked that this didn't chart higher. Not that it's not like, I don't know. I looked at the charts. It was in between We Don't Need Another Hero by Tina Turner from Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome.
Yeah.
And above What About Love by Heart.
Yeah.
You know, number one song is Shout by Tears for Fears. There's a couple good songs above it, but there was at least 4 songs that I was like, this should be higher than that. Like,
Well,
just retroactively, I'm like, this song is definitely way more famous 40 years later than some of these songs.
then Who's Holding Donna Now by DeBarge? Yes.
Yes, exactly.
But not, I mean, some of the other songs above it were The Power of Love from Huey Lewis, Never Surrender
Great
from
one.
Corey Hart, St. Elmo's Fire, Man in Motion from John Parr, Summer of 69 by Bryan Adams. So there were some heavy hitters up above it at the time, which kept it from going a little higher. I think the coolest thing that I read about and the most inspiring thing, if you're an artist, was at this time, Dead or Alive were working with this trio of producers. I forget what their names were. It's not important. But these producers and the record label were very unenthusiastic about the song You Spin Me Round, to such an extent that Pete Burns had to take out a loan himself to record the song. And then after the song was recorded, he said the label said that it was awful. And then the band had to fund the music video themselves for it. So
Yeah.
they believed in this song when everyone around them who was supposed to be trying to push them into the forefront didn't. And it's a damn good thing they believed in their own song.
Yeah. I don't understand how you listen. Like I said up front, the song is so catchy. I don't know how you listen to this song and not hear like dollar signs.
I don't get it when you hear like, I mean, I think that That's the Way I Like It cover was fine. Like, I thought that was the best thing I'd heard of them up to that point in their discography. But like, what did you want? This is like I would have recognized this song as a hit the first time I heard it. I feel confident in that.
100%. I agree. Because there's just everything about it is working for it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there's even, you know, I'm going to assume that it's a synthesized bass, but there's even this like kind of cool, funky bass line that goes almost into a slap bass sounding vibe throughout. Like everything about this song feels so. I'm not one that wants to tear up a dance floor, but this song does make me want to run out on a dance floor. Like it does have that like driving euphoric sounds where you're just like, I want to dance the fucking night away to this song.
I just want to know who was working at a major record label in the mid 80s that
couldn't hear this.
That didn't hear a hit in it. And poor Dead or Alive had to go out and fund it themselves. I mean, all of
Did you see that they had to get into a lawsuit about it?
Oh, right. Because, 70% of the sales of the song were on 12-inch singles. And the label claimed those were supposed to be promotional tools. So the band had to threaten legal action before they even received any royalties on the song. Like, God damn.
Yeah. This is, Chris, at this point, if, you know, let's go back to the days of Action. If Fueled by Ramen was pulling all these moves on you where it's like, they don't believe in any of the music, they're not giving you the royalties for this song, like, at what point do you just be like, fuck off, I'm just going to go do this myself?
Well,
like, I'm surprised that they stuck around as long as they did with this.
It's kind of a false comparison because it's a lot different when you're on a major label and, really at a time too where, for the style of music that they are, I mean, I'm sure that there was an underground scene, but that's not what they were signing up for with what they were doing. They weren't going to go out and play the small clubs. They were going for, it was superstardom or bust, I think, when you're playing this style of music and you're on a major label. So you're beholden to what you're for the most part, and who you probably signed your entire career away.
Yeah. I mean, that's the story that I feel like we've heard multiple times where, like, I mean, look at even someone like a Taylor Swift or even a couple artists a few rungs below that, where it's like you could be the biggest artist in the world and you still need to re-record your songs to have even a little bit of ownership to them because of the contracts that they're having you sign with like the rights and royalties to those tunes. Like it does seem like the major record shockingly, it seems like the major record label contracts are not in your favor. When you sign up for them.
Right. And I'm not going to sit over here and defend major record labels. I think that they're mostly scummy, but you could see the argument of like, you have one hit for every, 50 non-hits. So you gotta, sometimes you gotta cash in when something does become a hit. I don't know. In this scenario, it seems like they were trying to screw over and just fuck up the career of Dead or Alive every step of the way in this era.
I'm trying to remember who it was that I was listening to, but it was an interview with like a guy. I don't think it was a guy who ran Tooth and Nail, but maybe it was a guy who ran a record label similar to Tooth and Nail, like one of those Christian punk labels that was like a feeder label. And like he was talking about how he kind of regretted signing with a major where they would become a subsidiary and send their artists to it. But he was explaining the mentality of a major record label. And, he was like, at the time, at least in like the 90s and 2000s, when CDs were still selling and making a ton of money for the record label, he's like, they would sign 15 bands without really a care in the world. Right. So like, let's say, Warner Brothers Music signs Punchline. They're basically taking a gamble of like, maybe Punchline will become,
of course,
this band, of course, that's huge. But he's like, but what the major labels had at that time was like, let's say they sign 15 bands and none of them blow up. Homeboy, all we got to do is release another Beatles greatest hits and that shit's gonna like they had all these like huge albums that they could lean on for like, here's the remaster of this Rolling Stones album, or here, like they always had stuff in their back pocket that was a guaranteed someone's going to buy this again that they could use to like make up the difference for if they fumbled the ball on the bands they took a chance with. He's like, at an indie, you don't have that comfort zone to be like, this band didn't do well. Let's re-release MXPX's big album because it's the only big album we have on our label. Like
they signed
it's
stuff,
a little bit tougher.
Throw everything at the wall and see what sticks. And we definitely heard, for our band, I mean, this is, once again, it's kind of a whole different thing. But
apples and oranges, yeah.
But we did hear stories, and any like little bit of, you maybe have a shot at this upstream deal or something. We were always very hesitant to even take that seriously because we did hear these like stories of, this band went and recorded this great sounding album with a producer, but it will never come out. It is shelved. They can't even buy the rights to it. It will just never be released. So that was like a scary thing. I remember
that with there was a band that maybe you played a couple shows with. I don't know if your paths ever crossed. Do you remember the band Madison that like briefly was signed to not Drive Thru? It was when Drive Thru was doing Rushmore Records. I had booked them to play a show because I had liked the songs that I had heard on their MySpace. And the lead singer was just like, hey, you want to hear this awesome album we made that will never see the light of day? We were like, sure. And he like just had his iPod with headphones and I listened to it. I'm like, yeah, this is great.
Yeah.
He goes, yeah. He goes, the label doesn't believe in it and they don't think it's worth printing. So they own it. Like it's just never going to come out.
There was a band we knew that did an album with John Feldman that never came out because they were like, I don't know why it didn't. It sounded great. But anyway, this is the kind of stuff that major labels will do. And it's probably why no one should ever sign with a major label unless it works out for you and you become a giant artist. That's the risk you take.
That's the one exception to the rule.
Yeah.
Did you read, though, that this was like this song actually being the hit that it was kind of the bane of Pete's existence to a certain level?
Right.
He said that it was one of the unhappiest days of his life when Spin Me reached #1 in the UK. Because I knew that it would be downhill all the way after that.
Jeez. Enjoy it for a second, Pete. Enjoy it for a second. Wow.
Yeah, he said he had a fear of success and had hoped that his singles would never chart too highly. I didn't want to get to the high positions because I didn't want to completely lose my life. I thought if it happens, it happens. But if it doesn't, thank God.
You know what? One thing I cannot relate to is a fear of success. I don't understand. Like, I live in a constant, decades worth of fear of failure at life that I can't understand how someone could fear success. Like, that just,
yeah.
Why?
So someone explained this to me one time from a psychological stance, and I understand it a little bit better, is that they said there is no such thing as a fear of success. There isn't. What that is a fear of is a fear of change. Because if you try your best at something and it doesn't work out, your status quo gets to stay exactly the same. Whereas if something does happen that's a success, maybe you have to move. Maybe you have to figure out this whole nother life that you weren't prepared for. And that's what tends to stress people out way more than obviously when you're making money, you're making money. But it is that fear of everything about my life is changing overnight and I'm not ready for that change is more what that fear is.
I don't know, man. I feel like if you have an influx of, I hate to just narrow it down to just money and be very blunt about it like that, but an influx of life-changing money that affords you the freedom to do things and kind of I don't know.
I think it also is because of our age. I think when you're in your 40s, success, you're able to if One Hit Thunder suddenly became the #1 music podcast on the internet and we had sponsorship deals and all this other stuff, my brain is very much filled with what bills I'd pay off and shit, where it's I remember listening to an interview with Scott from Real Big Fish where he was talking about listen, when you're 22 and you just have a pile of money in front of you, he's that money has been long gone most of my life, because he's I bought every single thing my childhood heart could imagine, and then I started snorting things. It's just your brain isn't developed enough in your 20s to know what to do with that level of success.
Sure.
I think that's why we have so many horror stories of child stars and young music prodigies, because there is that element of you don't know what the fuck, you don't know how quickly a large sum of money will disappear.
Yeah, of course.
At that age. But that's a whole other story.
Yeah.
But yes, what I'm saying is please help. Hey, share, and subscribe to this podcast. Tell your friends about it. Help us become the #1. That's our goal. #1 music podcast in the world.
I want to become
make it happen.
The #1 one-hit wonder podcast in the world. Where do you think we rank on one-hit wonder specific podcasts? We got to be up there.
I think we're #2 if you count what Todd does as a podcast.
Yeah. Todd rules.
And if you don't, then we're #1.
Yeah, we should have Todd on our podcast.
Hey, Mark, do you have any favorite moments from the first season of Nevermind the Music?
Yeah, remember that episode where I secretly converted you to loving all my favorite songs?
No.
Well, then it's working, Nicole.
It's season 2 of the Nevermind the Music podcast.
Because the sequel is always better than the original.
And the second album is always better than the...
One of us knows music.
And the other knows psychology.
Each week we dive deep into one song.
From Oasis to Alanis.
And maybe sometimes some things that aren't from the 90s.
Nevermind the Music season 2.
Listen, wherever you get your...
sophomore slumps?
Hey, it is interesting we're talking about Dead or Alive being a one-hit wonder, because
they did have I do not know this song. I saw that and texted. It's funny, I was texting a past guest and said we're about to record 2 episodes, and both of the episodes are does this count? Mm-hmm. And I said Vanessa Carlton and Dead or Alive, and their response was, I can't believe Vanessa Carlton is a one-hit wonder, and I can't believe that you're telling me that Dead or Alive might not be one.
Brand New Lover hit number 15 in March of 1987, which is notably years after You Spin Me Round. It wasn't one of those situations where it was residual hype around the band making the next single pop or something.
it's notably years afterwards, and also not for nothing, just a mere 4 spots lower.
Yeah.
It's not even a situation where it's like, oh, they had this number 1 hit, and then like their next big one was like, you know, in the teens, and then they fell off. Like, no, this is basically charting as high as the song that we're calling the hit.
Right. So there's going to be a Dead or Alive mega fan or two out there who are definitely going to give us a little shit for calling them one-hit wonders. I mean, and our UK listeners...
Rightfully so. Like, the UK listeners will be losing their minds right now.
Yeah, our UK listeners, they know that on that same album with You Spin Me Round, they also had Lover Come Back to Me, which went to number 11 in the UK, In Too Deep, not to be confused with the... is that a Phil Collins or a Genesis? One of those.
That's Genesis. That's on Invisible Touch, baby.
Okay, that's a good song. But not to be confused
It's a good
with
album.
Not to be confused with that In Too Deep. But Dead or Alive's In Too Deep went to number 14 in the UK. And My Heart Goes Bang, Get Me to the Doctor went to number 23 in the UK. So in the UK, Dead or Alive, you know, not to mention all the like indie hits they had before they were even, you know, a household name for a while. So, yeah, they definitely had some success, and you know they're in the dance world for all intents and purposes.
A little bit. Now, did you see that again later on in their career? I want to say it was in '88 at this point. They put out the album Nude, and according to the band and a few other people, honestly, they could have had another huge hit, but like the record label and MTV kind of fucked it a little bit. Was that they had a song called Come Home With Me Baby that was kind of frowned down upon because it was about casual sex against all odds during the AIDS epidemic at the time. And says, despite the strong customer demand for the single, the U.S. record company refused to release it as a single, claiming that they objected to the male dancers that were shot in the music video and the themes of the song.
Wow.
So, like, they had this song that, like, die-hard Dead or Alive fans were like, you got to put out this single. And, like, the U.S., like, people in charge of the U.S. distribution was like, we'll be fucking shot dead in the street before we put this single out.
Wow.
And a lot of people think that it could have been like a major Hot 100 hit if it had been given like the proper push. I listened to the song and it's good. I mean, I could see it being like a minor hit for them for sure. It's definitely no You Spin Me. Like I didn't listen to it and be like, this is an even better song than their hit. Like,
right.
But that apparently a lot of fans feel that way. Chris, something that we haven't talked about in quite a while, but they did find success in the 90s in a different country than the UK and the United States, because boy, did Japan love Dead or Alive.
Really? I didn't read about that at all.
Yeah, they definitely became this band. I mean, in the sense of in 1990, their album Fan the Flame peaked at 27 on the albums chart. So it was the 27th best-selling album at the time in Japan. So much so that when they started releasing albums, they're one of those bands where their albums almost exclusively were being released to the Japanese market at that point.
Wow.
They had actually written and recorded Fan the Flame Part 2 that was supposed to come out, and the album was shelved until 2021. Someone found the masters and like beefed it up and kind of gave it like its long-awaited release years and years later.
I wonder what that could be attributed to. You know, it's interesting how different countries, they're not experiencing exactly. I do feel like a lot of people kind of follow the United States, like the trends of the United States, and maybe sometimes they're a little bit behind. But like, why Dead or Alive at that point when they're, you know, at that point have kind of faded into obscurity in the United States, why they would get a surge of popularity in Japan? Was it just due to them going there and doing shows, or was there some sort of trend or some sort of, were they featured in some movie there, or what was it?
Who knows? It's really interesting. I mean, like you said, they kept recording up until 2000. The last album that they did was called Fragile, and it was a collection of remakes and new songs, and they even covered U2's Even Better Than the Real Thing off of Acton Baby. And the lead single, Hit and Run Lover, peaked at number 2 on the Japanese charts.
Wow.
So even in 2000, they were still getting pretty big hits.
Pretty neat to think that if you're willing to go outside of your comfort zone and where you travel to or where you promote to, you never know what's going to resonate with people maybe in a different place.
Well, and I've heard you say this on here as well as on the Punchline podcast, but you've said there's few places Punchline was treated kinder than Japan when you guys would play Japan.
Yeah, that wasn't unique to us. That was like just in general. I think people in Japan, I would assume maybe they still do. I haven't been there in a while, but definitely when we went there, loved American music. And it was, of course it was awesome. As far as You Spin Me Round staying in our minds and people still knowing it today, of course, The Wedding Singer was part of that in 1998. And then a year later, in 1999, the industrial band Dope covered the song. Have you ever heard that cover? It was on the soundtrack of American Psycho.
So I knew the cover before I ever saw American Psycho.
Oh.
Because 1999, like I said, this is prime me having MTV2 on, and there was like a music video for that and everything. So they were playing the video pretty regularly on MTV2. And I was like, yeah, this is fun, I guess. It's not a great cover, but I've heard worse industrial covers of beloved 80s songs in my life. Mm-hmm. And then I saw that Jessica Simpson tried to cover it in 2006.
That I don't think that contributed to the song, but what did
2009?
A few years later. I can't believe that was 2009. It feels more recent than that. But Flo Rida featuring Kesha did an interpolation of it on a song called Right Round, which was a huge hit. Once again, brought it right back round, no pun intended, in the public consciousness.
100%. And I mean, I would say this is one of my favorite Flo Rida singles. It is really catchy. Also,
one more thing I want to mention about Pete Burns, because it's a strange thing about Pete Burns that, may he rest in peace, and don't want to besmirch his name. He seemed like a pretty cool and interesting guy, but had over 300 cosmetic surgeries and famously had a pretty botched one at one point. Did you know about that?
I do. Now that you're talking about it, I do remember this.
Yeah.
I remember this being like one of those. I don't know why. This is slightly unrelated, but related. I don't know why I keep getting, like, when I log on to Facebook, say, one of their like recommended reels for me to watch is like, here's the top 10 worst celebrity plastic surgery botches of all time. And I'm like, I don't want to watch this shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do remember there being a very like, you've got to see how bad this plastic surgery went on this 80s pop star, like news report at the time.
Yeah. I actually don't know how Pete died. Do you?
I don't know if I do either. Let me check and see if it was in my notes. Died of cardiac arrest.
Okay.
At the age of 57.
Yeah, it's pretty young.
That's really young.
Sadly passed away in 2016. And I don't know, man. The song lives on, and we're going to talk about Thunderverse Blunder because this is honestly a kind of a tough one for me. Because
it is. I want to bring up one more thing about the actual song, because I did think that this was interesting. So Pete Burns did put out an autobiography called Freak Unique. And in there, he talked about writing this song. And he said he actually wrote this song by using 2 existing songs as the inspiration for him to create something new. And I just thought that this was a very interesting way to create a song. He said, how did I write Spin Me? I listened to Luther Vandross's I Want It Your Love. It's not the same chord structure, but then that's why I make music. I hear something and then I sing another tune over it. I didn't sit and study the Luther Vandross album. I just heard a song and locked it in. and I'm trying to structure the music and I know what I want, it's kind of like do this, do this, do this. And then suddenly something hits. And that's what happened. I didn't want to do a Luther Vandross song, but I can still sing the same pattern over it. I also remembered another record by Little Neil that was called See You Round Like a Record. So I had these two albums, and then bingo, done deal, combined those two ideas, and the song was born.
All right. I don't know either of those songs to know if it was
I don't either, but I like the idea of like, hey, I'm listening to this song and I start humming lyrics and ideas over top of the concept of it. And then next thing I know, I'm like, oh, okay, I can see where I could build something of my own in this. He also said that he felt like the song was actually just straight disco and claimed that Sylvester, the artist Sylvester, was a major influence on the sound that he was going for with this song.
Being influenced by disco, I mean, that makes sense. They covered Casey and the Sunshine Band.
Exactly. Exactly. So that all makes sense.
Yeah, it's funny to think about the 80s, like a song like this, mid 80s. It is only like disco is not far in the rearview mirror. It's like right there, even though most of the music sounds so much different than that because of all the new wave and the synths and stuff coming in. It wasn't that far removed at this point.
No, not at all.
Before we decide thunder or blunder on Dead or Alive, Matt, you want to play a game?
I do. I've had a good bit of a hot streak, but I don't know how good I'm going to do on this. But what's the theming?
It's stuff to do with around this time and things to do with You Spin Me Round in general. You're going to get 7 questions. You know the rules. You think you can get 10 points?
I'm going to play it safe and go with 8 points on this.
What a fucking weak move.
It's the 80s, man. The 80s is always my weak spot.
Yeah, I'm looking at some of these questions, though, and let me see. No, you gotta go. Yeah, you gotta go, because 2 of these are going to be questions where you need the multiple choice, and I'm going to give you 2 points if you get it.
Okay.
You got to go 10.
All right, then I'll go 10.
You got to go 10 if you want to win. Okay.
If you're twisting my arm for it, then let's do it. 10.
This is one you'll get 2 points, but you need the multiple choice. Which one of these songs was not featured on the 2-volume soundtrack for The Wedding Singer? A, Hold Me Now by Thompson Twins. B, Pass the Dutchie by Musical Youth. C, Just Like Heaven by The Cure. Or D, How Soon Is Now by The Smiths.
It's C, Just Like Heaven.
You got
I love both of those soundtracks.
Wow, you didn't even hesitate. 2 points, just like that.
Yeah, no, I love both. I listen to both of those soundtracks somewhat regularly still in my life. So.
See?
All right. Listen, that's an Adam Sandler question. That's not an 80s question. All right, next.
On the same week that You Spin Me Round hit its U.S. Billboard peak, which Tim Burton film was released?
1988. That would be Beetlejuice?
That's incorrect.
Oh, wait. Sorry. What year was it?
I didn't tell you a year. I said on the same week that You Spin Me Round hit its U.S. Billboard peak.
Wait. I don't know why my brain said this came out in 88. Came out in 85. It's Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
I guess I'll give you the 2 points, even though you jumped the gun there. Yes, that's correct.
Sorry. I was like, I don't know why I thought this was 88. All right.
4 points going into question 3. On the day before You Spin Me Round hit its Billboard peak, what actress was born in Cherry Hill, New Jersey?
Actress born in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. Let's do multiple choice just to be safe.
A, Zoe Saldana. B, Kirsten Dunst. C, Tara Reid. Or D, Kristen Milioti.
I think Kirsten Dunst is the same age as me, and I think she is local. So I'll go Kirsten Dunst.
That's incorrect. It was Kristen Milioti.
I don't even know if I know immediately who that is.
Come on! I love her. She's on the freaking Penguin. She's on Palm Springs.
Oh my God, I'm a fucking idiot. Yes, I know exactly who she is. She's great, and I do know that she's from Cherry Hill. Shit.
Yeah.
She went to high school with a friend of mine from Cherry Hill.
Damn
God
it.
damn it, I'm a fucking idiot.
Don't you think she's like one of the coolest and like prettiest actresses?
So I've made this joke about her where I feel like every couple years she just shows up, everyone's obsessed with her, and then she like disappears for 2 years. Because she was the mother from How I Met Your Mother in the final season. And when that was airing, everybody was like, who is this amazing actress? And then she like disappeared. Then she was in Palm Springs like a couple years later with Andy Samberg. And everybody was like, who's this incredibly attractive, funny actress? Then she disappeared again.
Yeah.
Then like The Penguin came out and now she's like winning awards. But I'm like, Homegirl has been great every time. And like I think now people are ready to fully latch on and her career is going to like skyrocket. But I've seen like 3 false starts for her superstardom in my life.
She just won an Emmy for The Penguin. Or maybe multiple.
And she's phenomenal in The Penguin.
Oh, she's awesome. Did you pick her out on The Sopranos when you were watching it?
I did. I when I was watching it at that time, we hadn't watched The Penguin yet. So I was like, it's the mother from How I Met Your Mother.
Also, did you, I never realized this was her because she was wearing like a blonde wig in it. Do you know that she's
Wolf of Wall Street?
No. Oh, I don't know if she's in that, but
she is. She's Leo's first wife that he leaves in Wolf of Wall Street as well.
Okay. Well, do you watch 30 Rock?
I do.
Do you know the episode where the woman comes in as like the comedian? She's like acting like a baby, like ow, and she's like acting like the sexy baby.
Oh my God, is that her?
That's her.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Completely unrelated, but you know who else has a very small, not even can call it a cameo, just before they were famous in The Sopranos?
Before they were famous. I mean, there's a lot.
Musician. Like wildly famous musician.
Has a cameo in The Sopranos. I probably know this. I know everything about The Sopranos, but I can't think of who.
Lady Gaga.
Oh, no, I didn't know that.
Lady Gaga in the episode, The Telltale Medusa Dell. I can't even remember what this episode is about, but there's a group of high school students and she's one of the high school students hanging out with what's her face.
Well, you know who else has a cameo on it before he was famous is Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Yep, I clocked him. He's like a doorman at a hotel or something.
Yeah.
It's such a small part, and I was like, that's Lin-Manuel Miranda.
It's right after Tony and Christopher steal all the wine, and then the guys are like,
that's it.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, man, what an episode.
Yeah. I'm so glad you finally watched it. I'm so glad you finally watched it. Isn't it incredible?
I'm excited to rewatch it.
Matt, I'll tell you what. In 2026, I'll make you this deal right now. There's a million of them that exist, but if you wanted to do a Sopranos, if you could think of a new fun angle on it that you wanted to do a Sopranos rewatch podcast, I would edit it.
Oh, I love that. All right, so I fucked that one up, but all right, next question.
Still got 4 points though. You could still hit the goal. On the day that Kristen Milioti was born,
okay,
27-year-old Madonna married who at a clifftop mansion in Malibu?
I have to do it without multiple choice to hit 10,
no,
right?
You don't.
Based on
no,
how
you
many
don't.
more. Okay. It's one of two people. I can't remember who actually Madonna married versus who she dated in the 80s. I'm going to go for a swing, and I might regret it. Was it Sean Penn?
You got it.
Okay.
So if you want to put yourself in the mindset of when You Spin Me Round was at its peak in the 80s, Madonna was married.
Madonna may have danced to it at her wedding.
Yeah,
with
sure.
Sean Penn.
Sure. Madonna and Sean Penn were dancing to this at a clifftop mansion in Malibu at their wedding. And baby Kristen Milioti was born in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. So there you go.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on. You got 6 points, Matt. On the week that You Spin Me Round hit its peak of number 11, Center Field by who sat at number 100 on the Hot 100?
Chris, I love this song. John Fogerty.
Yeah, you got it. All right.
Put me in, coach. I'm ready to play.
All right, you got 2 questions left. You got 8 points. You could crush the goal here, Matt. You might be able to get.
See.
You might be able, and the last one is one where you have to get the multiple choice, so you have a 1 in 4 chance at 2 points on that one.
Okay.
So that same week, You Spin Me Round is at number 5. Center Field is number 100. Sitting at number 61 on those same charts was You Look Marvelous by what actor and comedian?
Oh, Billy Crystal.
You got it. I knew you'd be real into the Billy Crystal You Look Marvelous bit.
I honestly can't stand that bit, but I know enough of SNL history to know that was a huge thing for a while.
He had a song that was You Look Marvelous, complete with a music video and everything, and it's just as bad as you would imagine.
One of these days we need to do like a, not like an official episode of the podcast, but not like a Patreon episode where we just talk about really bad actor/comedian songs like Rappin' Rodney and You Look Marvelous, or like The Crypt Keeper had a song, like just that whole era where every TV show character was getting like a record deal.
What was the Crypt Keeper song?
I'm trying to think. He had a Christmas album at one point that we covered for Christmas 365, but I think he had like a Crypt Keeper rap as well.
Of course.
Point.
Why wouldn't it be a rap? All right. So you got your 10 points to hit your goal, but here's your final question to see if you can get 12.
All right.
Pete Burns was on season 4 of Celebrity Big Brother in the UK in 2006. Okay. Which one of these people were one of the housemates with Pete that season?
Okay.
A, Dennis Rodman. B, Rob Schneider. C, Brooke Hogan. Or D, Tila Tequila.
Tila Tequila had her own show. So the sad thing is, Chris, God bless you. I don't know how you do this sometimes. I don't know if you just like pull a bunch of names that sound like they could have been on the show, or if you look at other seasons and just get contestants.
I will tell you. I'll tell you how I did this
seasons.
specific question. I remember is I got the answer, and then I googled D-list celebrities from the year 2000.
Okay, that helps a little bit. Because to me, I'm like, if you're just like making this up, I don't know if you would have gotten to Rob Schneider. But I do believe that Rob Schneider would have came up on a D-list celebrities from the year 2000 Google search.
I may have made it harder by saying that.
Who is C?
Brooke Hogan.
I think it's Brooke Hogan.
Sorry, Matt, that's incorrect. It was Dennis Rodman.
That was my second guess.
Dennis Rodman and Pete Burns seem like a couple of people that should be hanging out. They're both like,
kind of weirdly makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Well, you hit your goal anyway. You did a good job. Woo! So how do you feel about Dead or Alive?
Listen, I'm going to reiterate. I love this song.
Okay.
People, I love this song. I think this song is one of the catchiest songs of the 80s. And if I have like my iPod on shuffle, or I'm listening to Spotify music on shuffle and this comes on, there ain't no world where I'm skipping this track. I'm going to sing along with this song, top of my lungs, and have a good time. But all that being said, I could not really find anything that I was like super stoked about in the rest of this band's career. It's not soft cell level, like painful. It's just a lot of like mediocre, forgettable stuff. So I'm going to have to, unfortunately, go with Blunder.
I'm going to agree. I'm going to certify this blunder. And I say that because I think the band was way more about the essence and vibe of Pete Burns than it was, and some, for the most part, forgettable songs. Like the songs to me, minus this song, the songs feel like an afterthought sometimes, and it's more about the whole like presentation of like this this eccentric front man and sort of like a dance and something you could dance to, but I didn't feel like there was a lot of substance beyond that. I'm a guy
Agreed.
who likes a great song, and I didn't find a lot of that in here. This was meant with no disrespect to the memory of Pete Burns, but I got to go blunder. I wouldn't necessarily insist that someone has to dig deeper on the catalog of Dead or Alive.
This has been One Hit Thunder. One Hit Thunder is hosted by Chris Afalios of the band Punchline and produced by Matt Kelly of Geekscape.net. Underneath me, you're hearing Focus on Yourself off the Punchline album Somewhere to Land. Go to punchlinemusic.com for merch, music, and where the band is playing next. Our podcast is on Patreon now. Find us at patreon.com/OHT podcast for early access to our episodes, bonus conversations, and a chance to vote on future songs for us to cover. Buy a One Hit Thunder shirt at our merch store, onehitthunder.dashery.com. Be sure to rate, review, and subscribe to us on any podcasting app, and tune in next week for more One Hit Thunder.
Before your mind just slips away, you need a time out, you need a rest. If you're ever gonna listen now. Slow down and focus on yourself.
You're listening to the Geekscape Network.